breastfeeding and even breast pumping are comparable to riding a bicycle. You can't just hop on a bicycle and ride it. And the same is true for breastfeeding and breast pumping. It takes time. You and baby are both learning on this journey. So I think really having confidence and patience, having patience is key. And also a good support system.
Hi everyone, I'm Christa from Mommy Knows Best, and I'm here today with Brenna, who is a breastfeeding counselor, and she is going to talk all about pumping for work or going back to work and pumping, what it takes, how much you should pump, and I'm really excited to have her here today. So without further ado, welcome Brenna.
Hi Christa, I'm happy to be here. Hey mamas. Like Christa said, my name is Brenna. I'm a registered nurse and I'm also a certified breastfeeding counselor, and I'm also a breast pumping and breastfeeding mama myself. A breastfeeding counselor is a specialization for nurses who work with lactating mothers. So I used to do labor and delivery, and I've worked on mother, baby, and done postpartum. So that's why I wanted to get my specialization in breastfeeding, is because I work with those mamas, so I want to help them as much as I can.
Awesome, that's really cool. I'm so excited that you're going to be on today because I think this will cover a lot of fears moms have about going back to work and knowing what to do and how to approach it, basically. So to get started, what are your best tips for going back to work as a new mom and wanting to pump while you're at work?
So I think the best thing to do whenever you're a new mom, and everybody's going to have to pump probably at some point, is to get a breast pump while you're still pregnant. I know that may seem a little crazy, but you're going to be able to work with your pump. You're going to be able to get comfortable. You'll be able to play around with it. And that's going to help ease the transition back to work, is getting comfortable with your pump. One thing too that I really want to emphasize is flange fitting. So you may be wondering, what is a flange? A flange is this cone looking part. My husband actually calls it the horn. So it's this part right here. And actually only about 40% of moms who are breast pumping are using the correct flange size. So this is super important because if you have the wrong size flange, it can actually impact the amount of milk that you're able to pump. So definitely getting fitted by a lactation professional before you go back to work, making sure that flange size is appropriate and it's the right size, is going to be a key to your breast pumping success when you go back to work. Also, something too that's interesting is it's not uncommon for moms to have to use two different sizes of a flange for one breast or for the other breast. And some women's nipples actually change in diameter throughout postpartum. So it's not uncommon also to have to use different sizes throughout your postpartum breast pumping journey.
Oh, that's very interesting. So you'd buy almost two different sets then if you technically needed two different ones.
Yeah, so usually breast pumps a lot of them now come with two different sizes, either like a 24 millimeter or like a 27 or 28 millimeter. So a lot of the times moms will have two different sizes, but it's not all one size fits all when it comes to flanges. A lot of the times moms will think they need a bigger size, when in reality they need a smaller size. So a lot of the breast pumping companies do offer different sizes. You just have to purchase them. They don't come with your pump.
Okay, very good to know. For a mom going back to work, how much should she save up before going back for each day?
So really all a mama needs to do is to save up about 2 to 3 days work. And what I mean by that is just 2 to 3 days of the time that you're going to be at work. So if you work 8-hour shifts, then you'll just need enough milk for 2 to 3 8-hour shifts, not 24 hours. And so what will happen is you should pump when you're at work, how you would just nurse a baby. So every 3 to 4 hours, just envision that you're at home nursing your baby, and that's how much you need to pump when you're at work. So you'll have those 2 to 3 days saved up by the time you go to work. And then while you're at work, you'll continue to replenish those 2 to 3 days, your 2 to 3 day supply that you have saved up at home. So you'll just replenish that each day at work. As far as storing breast milk, I recommend getting just a little cooler to take the milk back and forth. So this is actually what I use whenever I went back to work. It is a cooler that I got, and you actually can put the bottles in it. So it's an easy way to transport the pumped milk in your bottles, and they don't fall out, and it's actually insulated. I recommend getting something like that. Or if you have just a little milk cooler, a lot of the breast pumps come with a cooler, you can do that. As far as storing breast milk and, how long can it stay out? Freshly pumped breast milk at room temperature can actually sit out for about 6 hours. It's okay to sit out at room temperature. Whenever you're at work, you can let it sit out for a little bit and then put it in the refrigerator. I don't recommend freezing it right away because that gets rid of all those good properties of breast milk, all the antibodies, all of that good stuff. Freezing actually gets rid of most of those. So if you can, try to let it sit out for a little bit and then put it in the refrigerator. And by the time you get home, it's good to go. Then you can put it in the refrigerator and store it up for baby.
So then how long is milk good for in the fridge before they should use it or freeze it?
So breast milk is okay in the refrigerator for about 4 to 6 days. And then after that point, you can put it in the freezer that's attached to your refrigerator for about 6 months, and then in a deep freeze for about a year. And then as far as thawing breast milk, we never want to put breast milk in the microwave. What you can do is, if it's frozen or if it's in the refrigerator and it's chilled, you can run some warm water in a cup and then place the bottle that has the breast milk in it in that warm water, not hot, the warm water. And then you're going to want to swirl it around because typically the fat will separate from the milk. And so you want to swirl it to get it mixed back in.
Oh, okay. Very good to know. So when it came to breastfeeding your own child, what would you say was the hardest part, and what was your proudest moment when it came to breastfeeding?
So I have a 3-year-old little boy, and I remember I was dead set on breastfeeding him. I'm a nurse. I work in labor and delivery, so I thought, this is going to be easy. I've helped tons of moms breastfeed, but I think it's really different when it's yourself, and I put a lot of pressure on myself. And I felt a lot of pressure, especially from people who didn't breastfeed or didn't know a lot about breastfeeding. And I think that the most important thing is to really trust in yourself. And it's a learning experience for you and your baby both. I always like to tell new moms that if you don't have a supportive partner, then it's going to be pretty difficult to have a successful breastfeeding or breast pumping journey. So I think patience is really key, and then support. And it was important for me to find other breastfeeding and breast pumping moms. And I think that's really helped me too. So that's where social media comes in, that it's super helpful to find that mom tribe that they can build you up and offer tips and suggestions and really just be supportive. Another way I think too is while you're pregnant, search and seek out other pregnant moms or breastfeeding groups and really find a lactation professional that's in your area in case you do have issues or do have problems after you have the baby. And I think if you do those things, then that will help you have a better journey. I feel like breast pumping kind of gets forgotten about because we do focus a lot on breastfeeding, and breast pumping is something that the majority of moms are going to have to do sometime postpartum, whether that's going back to work or, being away from your baby for whatever reason. And I think it's important to focus on how to pump successfully. It's a learned thing, It's like I said, like riding a bicycle. You can't just turn on a pump and know how to use it. Yeah, in theory, okay, you turn it on, right. But to actually pump effectively takes practice. And you really want to mimic how your baby nurses in order for you to yield the most milk output. A lot of breast pumps now have a dual expression system. So it will start off with a higher, faster suck, which is how a baby would nurse. And then once that milk lets down, it moves into a slower, more rhythmic kind of motion. So I know certain pumps don't automatically have that dual expression mode. So if your pump doesn't have that, try to, as comfortably as you can. I don't want you to turn up the suction too high to where it's uncomfortable, because pumping should never hurt. Pumping should never hurt. So if it does hurt, then you need to turn down your suction. But get it to a comfortable suction level that is a faster motion. And then once you feel that milk, or you see your milk start to spray more, switch it over to a slower suction. That way it's going to mimic more of how a baby would nurse.
Mm-hmm. That's very interesting. So you said they don't all have that different suction capabilities, but so what will, like, some of the more basic ones, will they just have one suction?
Yeah, and so more specifically, the Spectra pump you can actually set it to do those settings. It doesn't automatically do the settings. Whereas like a pump and style does have that dual expression, or the symphony, which is this one right here, it does have the dual expression automatically built into it. So the Baby Buddha pump, which is really awesome, it's a hands-free, it's amazing, it's a game changer. It has a dual expression too, but some of the Spectra is the one that comes to mind that you would have to program it to do that dual expression.
Okay, awesome. So do you think a lot of the issues people have with breast pumping has to do with not having the right breast pump, or massaging the breast, or making those little changes in order to make sure they're getting enough?
I think a lot of the issues stem from, we don't talk about breast pumping. We say, here's a breast pump, turn it on, and that's it. You know, sometimes mothers don't even get that much. And I think that's what's really important, is to get that pump beforehand, before baby gets here. That way you can mess with it, you can play with it, you can get to know it. And if you do have questions, then you're going to be less stressed out because you'll have played with it, and hopefully you can get into contact with a lactation professional who can help you. That is one thing that we are able to do, is to help you with breast pumping, not just breastfeeding too. So I think a lot of issues with breast pumping stem from, we don't really focus on it a lot. You know, it's just more of like, here, let's throw you in the deep end with breast pumping and have fun. When in reality, a lot of moms can be more successful if they have the proper tools and education about breast pumping.
Awesome. So if someone like watching was realizing, wow, I didn't know about breast pumping, I want to know more, where can they, whether it's somewhere near them, where can they get a hold of a breastfeeding counselor that can help them? And then on top of that, where can they follow you to find out more information?
If you are wanting more information on breastfeeding or breast pumping, your local WIC office, Women and Children, can actually help you. You can actually rent pumps from them. Also, your OB or your pediatrician should be able to direct you to lactation consultants, lactation professionals, breastfeeding counselors to also help you with breast pumping or breastfeeding. If you're interested, you can go follow me at Mountain Mama Lactation. I offer tips and support on breastfeeding, breast pumping, and just anything lactation.
Awesome. If you could have a billboard made today to share one tip with moms everywhere, what would you have it say?
I would probably have it say, take it one day at a time. I think it's really important to focus on the small victories each day, as opposed to thinking too far ahead in the future of things that you cannot control. So I think it's really important. You went back to work and you were able to pump successfully 3 times. That's what you should focus on and really celebrate, instead of focusing on what if. I think just taking it one day at a time, especially when you're a mom and you have all these new hormones and new routine and you're not getting any sleep and you're stressed out in general, I think it's really important to just take a moment, a deep breath, and really focus on, how did I succeed today?
Awesome. Yeah, totally agree. That's great. If you could go back and give yourself a piece of advice when you first became a mom, what would you say?
You can do it. I think you have a lot of naysayers, or people offering their opinions, and there's so many things that are negative that are thrown at you. Well, you're not doing this, you're not doing that. If you do this, that will be wrong. And you can do it. You know what's right and what's best for your baby. So just know that you can do it. You're already a great mom because you care about your baby. So I think that it's really important just to have confidence in yourself and not listen to what the negative people are saying and throwing at you. I think it's important to focus on the positives.